Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where it's all about helping you complete your financial journey to retirement. Discover time-tested strategies and get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Break away from the herd and go for the retirement you dream of. And now, here's your host, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
All right, back on Personal Pension Radio. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me. Those of you who have been with me since the beginning, always so much appreciated. I really do appreciate all the feedback. I appreciate the comments, the emails, and I appreciate it when you share this podcast with your friends. Please don't be shy. If there is something that you don't agree with or something you think that I might not have explained or dived into deep enough, please email me at craig@craigstrom.com, and I'd be happy to bring it up either on the podcast or one-on-one. So, you are at Personal Pension Radio. I am the income engineer broadcasting from my studio workshop here in Southern California. My mission that I did choose to accept is to deliver the retirement dream that Wall Street promised. Wall Street taught me how to be a financial advisor. What they didn't teach me years and years ago was the economics of retirement income. The economics of retirement income are very different than accumulation and retirement savings. And my goal, my mission, is to help you pull back the curtain on mainstream financial advice so that you can ask the right questions. Ask the questions that will get you to the ultimate goal that I try and put forth, which is great lifestyle in retirement. Someday, for whatever retirement means to you, you've got to have the income and the cash flow to sustain the lifestyle that you can actually look forward to. Now, want to jump in straight away. Let me make sure to give you my disclosure. Now, I'm going to share this as a heads up. Somebody actually asked me about this. This was actually kind of an offline type of a question that came up. Why do I go through the disclosure every single time, Kraig? Couldn't you just please skip the disclosure? Unfortunately not. You have to remember, I am a licensed, regulated financial planner, a certified financial planning professional. I have regulators and I have standards I have to live up to. Unlike financial entertainers like Dave Ramsey and other people on podcasts and radio that operate completely outside of any regulatory authority. They can essentially say anything they want and call it financial advice. And I'm not that guy. I actually am proud to say that I am a certified financial planning professional, that I maintain every bit of the standards that I'm expected to maintain, and I try my best to stay on that track. So the disclosures that I include in my show are there for a reason, because it is true that you should not act on things that you hear on my show as if you have heard advice for your specific situation. And especially, please do not act on things that you hear from financial entertainers, people who are not licensed, not regulated, not monitored, and they have no business in many cases putting themselves out there as financial experts. Please meet with a qualified financial planner before you take action. And with that said, I would love that financial planner to be me. I was going to say to be myself. I would love that to be me. I work with clients all over the country using technology, GoToMeeting, TeamViewer, Join.me, Skype. I work with folks all over the country because the world is really small nowadays. So if you would like to have a consult with a great financial planner, you can find one in your neighborhood, I'm sure, but you can also give me a call or an email, Kraig@craigstrom.com. Don't forget, Kraig with a K. All right, now let's jump in. This week, we're going to go right to Watch Your Step. The first segment is Watch Your Step. Last week, I talked about the 4% rule. Okay, so last week, I talked about the 4% rule. This week, I'm actually going to talk about the Monte Carlo simulation. And I'm going to actually include that in segment 2 with listener questions and observations, because the Monte Carlo simulation is exactly where you end up when you're talking about the 4% rule with a financial advisor. Now, before I jump into the Monte Carlo simulation, I want to go over actually answer a listener question. It got emailed in. So the question came up and said this, because folks have heard me speak of college application season. It is October, and October 1st is when college application season and federal applications and all that stuff starts. So here's the question. Kraig, thank you for the show. I listen in the car on my way to work, and I appreciate your no-nonsense approach to financial topics. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Our daughter is a senior in high school, and we are working on the FAFSA. That's the free application for federal student aid for college next year. Are we supposed to include the value of the business we own on the form? Great question. Now, just for those of you who missed it, or if you're listening to me on 2X, it went by too quick. The question was, are we supposed to include the value of our business that we own on the FAFSA form? So, excellent question. Generally, here's the answer. If you have a business with less than 100 employees, the answer is generally no. You don't include that on the form. Now, some private schools will have their own separate applications and their own separate standards, and they might look at your business assets differently. But the overriding answer on the FAFSA, the federal forms, is that a business with less than 100 employees is not included on the form. Okay? Also, I want to give you a heads up on this. Before you report your real estate and rental properties, stop. Okay? What if you own a business and you also own the building that your business is in? And let's say you and your husband actually own the building in the name of your living trust and you rent it back to your business. That's actually pretty common out there. Huge mistake. Huge real estate mistake. When you're filling out college applications, your real estate is seriously one of the biggest pitfalls that you can actually have on the paperwork. You should not simply put down the current market value of your home, for example. The home you live in, don't just write down the current market value of that house. The reality is that there is a federal index multiplier that's used across the country to equalize the value of real estate on the federal forms. Because if you think about it, a 3-bedroom house in Irvine, California costs $1 million. A 3-bedroom house in Wichita, Kansas does not cost $1 million. So the folks in Irvine are actually at a disadvantage to the folks in Wichita who have lower price real estate, right? So when a private school might have a look at the value of your real estate, well, what value do you put down? You actually can go to financial aid websites and you can use an index multiplier that you put in a few numbers and when you bought your house, and it will tell you, here's the value that you should put down on the FAFSA form. Now, really important, if you hold business real estate or rental real estate, super important that you hear this, okay? This is another area that's really important. If you own these kind of properties, stop and get help. There are legal maneuvers and legal structures that can be set up so that you don't have to list any of that real estate on your forms. Truly important right there. That's big time. I'm not going to dive into detail because everybody's situation is very unique. This is a case where you need help from a team that actually does this kind of stuff. And that just happens to be my team. I work with a great bunch of attorneys. We've got an awesome financial planning firm and an attorney, a law firm that we work very closely together. If you have questions about reporting your real estate on your college applications and such, before you turn those things in, email me at Kraig@kraigstrom.com so we can have a conversation about it. Massive mistake when people are reporting business assets and real estate on their federal aid applications and so forth. Okay. So great question. Thank you so much. Now, on to the Monte Carlo simulation. Last week, we talked about the 4% rule. Now, hear me. If you have not heard of the 4% rule, if you don't really understand it, go back and listen to the last episode to get some inside information on how it actually works. What I will tell you here as a summary, the 4% rule is not something that makes anybody jump up and down and say, yay, I'm so glad I'm on my way to retirement. That's going to be great. No, the 4% rule is most of the time hugely disappointing. Hugely disappointing to people when they find out that 4% is their income number. Now, this week, I want to talk to you about the Monte Carlo simulation. The Monte Carlo simulation is a computer program that really got adapted into Wall Street many years ago that essentially calculates the probabilities of running out of money. That if you put in a certain amount of money, your retirement nest egg, okay, and you try and draw out a certain amount of money and you live a certain number of years, what is the probability that you will run out of money? Or vice versa, what's the probability that your money will last? Okay. Now, if you want to do your own Monte Carlo simulation, you can go to Vanguard and just Google this. Retirement nest egg calculator. Retirement nest egg calculator. Now, it sounds so cute and cuddly, but what do you think of, folks, when you hear Monte Carlo? What do you think of Monte Carlo? Everybody says they think of gambling, right? Monte Carlo simulations, if you look back where the origins of the Monte Carlo simulation, the software, was literally in ancient times, mathematicians coming up with the odds of winning and losing at games of chance, these probability calculations. They did long before calculators and computers and such. So Monte Carlo simulation really is the ultimate simulator to figure out the ultimate game of chance is your investments and how long will they last in retirement. Okay. So now this is, I've adapted a true story. This is an actual true client interaction, and I've simplified the numbers so that I can take you through this. Remember, you can do this yourself at the retirement nest egg calculator, but when you get there, make sure you look at the bottom right-hand side, and you'll see where it says Monte Carlo simulation. It's funny, ironic, suspicious. Of course, they hide the gambling type of terminology down below and they call it retirement nest egg calculator. So cute and cuddly, right? It just sounds nice, very innocuous. Okay. So this is a couple that is in a very small percentage of people that have been able to do this. They've saved up $2 million and they believe that they are on easy street for retirement. They're not just millionaires, they're worth $2 million, and they are in a small group of people that has saved up that much money. It's really great. Now, they don't know anything about retirement income economics. So they actually do go see a financial planner, actually more of a financial advisor, an investment type of an advisor that wasn't me. And they ask, okay, we're on track for $2 million. How much income can we have when we start our retirement? That person said $80,000 a year. They said, what? $80,000 a year? Our income is $143,000 a year right now. You're saying that we're going to take a 44% cut in pay? No. You'll also get Social Security. The Social Security should be about $30,000 a year between the two of you. So you'll actually have $110,000 of income. So that's actually only a 23% cut in pay, a 23% cut in pay, a $33,000 cut in pay. Yeah, that was shocking. They weren't ready for that. They were hoping that they would be able to retire and get a little closer to their actual income. Now, investment advisors out there will say, oh, well, you're not going to have a mortgage payment and life's going to be so much less expensive when you retire. You won't need that whole $143,000 a year income. You'll be fine on 110. It'll be great. You'll be okay. $33,000 cut in pay, that's no big deal. You'll be fine. Let me ask you this, and I've asked this before. When do you spend more money? During the week while you're working, or on the weekend while you have time to shop and travel? Well, of course, the answer is on the weekend, when you have time to shop and travel, right? When you have the freedom to do things and to go places. So isn't retirement, if you get what you want, isn't retirement a really nice long weekend, right? So that $33,000 a year could have gone towards travel and enjoying life, right? Just maintaining a lifestyle. Do I believe that everybody should target 100% of their pre-retirement income? Absolutely. Why wouldn't you target 100% of the income you had before you retired, right? If you're going to take a 23% cut in pay, doesn't that mean your plan really didn't work out as well as you might have hoped, right? Why not go after maximum income in retirement? That's the goal. Now, can I get everybody to 100% of their pre-retirement income? No. I don't know that anybody can get that result. But my goal when I work with clients is to get them as close to pre-retirement as possible so that you can really maintain the lifestyle that you already have. Now, oh, by the way, 4% withdrawal. When you run the Monte Carlo simulation, you'll see it. Go do this on Vanguard. When you put in $2 million and you try and draw out 8% or 4%, $80,000, there's an 88% chance of success. Now, this is a really important one. I use 35 years in retirement for a husband and wife. Why 35 years? Well, is it possible nowadays where you've got a healthy husband and wife that one of them could live to be 100 years old? Yes, it is. So plan for, depending on age, a 30-plus year retirement. So when I ran this simulation with 35 years of income, it was an 88% success ratio, which means there was a 12% chance that it wouldn't work. 12% chance. I don't know about you, but if you were going to get on an airplane to fly from New York to California and the pilot said, we have a 12% chance we will not make it all the way to California, you might want to get off that plane, right? You would not accept a 12% chance that it would not make it to California. Now, to be fair, did I say the plane was going to crash? No. I said the plane wasn't going to make it to California. So you would end up somewhere you didn't want, right? That's what I'm saying, folks, that if there's a 12% chance of failure in the 4% rule based on this Monte Carlo simulation, well, you might have to make some serious changes in the future if the investment world doesn't go exactly the way you need it to. And the only change you can make is to stop taking out 4% and start taking out 3% and just cut your lifestyle even further, right? So these clients, they are now clients of mine, said, what can we do to change this? And the investment advisor they were meeting with said, you could save more money. You got to save a lot more money. Well, how much more? So if they were just going to get their draw rate, how much they're going to draw out, up to $95,000 a year, so a $15,000 increase, they would have to save up another $350,000, and at the 4% rate, they would get $95,000 a year, plus their Social Security. Things would be a little closer to better, right? Now, how is somebody going to be able to save up another $350,000? That's an impossible task when you're within a narrow window to retirement, right? So what I've said on this show before, and I'll say it here again, the answer is not just save more money, invest more money. This conversation happens all the time because people end up working with an investment-only advisor. Someone who says the solution to everything is X. The solution to this retirement dilemma is you've got to invest more money in these various investments. Or the solution to this retirement dilemma is you got to buy this life insurance thing or this real estate thing. The reality is that maximum income for this couple will be achieved using investments, annuities, guaranteed annuities to be clear, real estate, and life insurance, guaranteed life insurance. All of these things together can improve their income by more than 60% over the standard Wall Street only investment advisor conversation. That's the reality for this couple, that they're not going to have to save a ton more money to make that reality. They're going to have to save and allocate their assets a bit differently, but they got to continue to save. The reality is that investments in their case is not the answer. Life insurance, not the answer. Annuities, real estate, not the answer. The balance between all of those things in their world, that's the answer. And we're going to be able to hit that number. Now they're on track for 60% more income than they would be in the Wall Street investment-only conversation. So please, 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 if you have not contacted me to do your retirement income analysis so that you can see what you're on track for now, what exactly does the Monte Carlo simulation and that investment-only conversation look like for you? Find out. Email me, Kraig at kraigstrom.com. Be happy to go through that exercise with you so you can look, and I will give you some alternatives so you can say, look, here's where you're headed now. Here's what it could look like if you balance things a bit differently. Also, don't forget my offer. If you want to have a consultation about college cost reduction and ways to pay for college that most advisors aren't thinking about, most CPAs, most attorneys, they're not paying attention to these nuances to pay for college, email me, Kraig at kraigstrom.com. I'd love to have that conversation with you. It is FAFSA season, so if you've got a FAFSA application that you're filling out, stop, get some help. There's major pitfalls in that FAFSA, and get your retirement income analysis done. Find out sooner than later. Pull your head out of the sand and get it done. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for me. I'm excited about this one. Hopefully you guys will take action out there. Remember, the future belongs to those who actually take action. I'll talk to you again real soon. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast. If you missed anything during the show, that's okay. We took the notes for you. Check the show notes for links, offers, and a full transcript. And don't forget to head over to personalpensionradio.com and download your free retirement income report. While you are there, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening.
Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.